I think we all like to see the birds of paradise from New Guinea for several reasons. Firstly, they're just spectacular. But also, they remind us that Australia and New Guinea are two sides of one coin, and that in order to understand the fauna of Australia, you need to understand the fauna of New Guinea and vice versa. And the birds of paradise are a timely or a good way to illustrate that. The Australian National Wildlife Collection is one of CSIRO's 4 big natural history collections, and it's also worth remembering that in all the state capital cities there are big natural history museums, and they too have collections focused on their particular states. So really the Australian National Wildlife Collection is one of a network of collections of the Australian fauna. Think of it as the back rooms of a museum, not the front of house exhibits part. We are particularly strong in birds, and that reflects the people who've worked here over the years. So we have a collection of birds with really good national coverage, not focused on a particular state. Here we have a series of trays of specimens of rosellas, which are familiar to most people living in Canberra. And these trays are good for illustrating one of the key purposes of collections, whether they're of birds or mammals or insects or whatever. And that is that they illustrate variation at a range of levels. We can look at these specimens and simply see variation between individuals, and then we can look at variation between populations. I'm holding a crimson rosella here from Canberra, from Victoria, but it's a bird familiar to many people in Canberra. And just aligning it with these other rosellas from South Australia, one can see a sense of geographical variation. Also, the collections allow us to look at variation between sexes, between age groups, and between populations, and ultimately between species. And they provide the basis for evolutionary research into how all of this diversity came about. We have a good mammal collection that has been growing in recent years due to recent work, and we have a smaller reptile and amphibian collection, but we also have the different kinds of specimens. So we have the traditional stuffed skin, that stuffed specimen that people might be familiar with, but we also have specimens in alcohol. We have, that is the whole body of the animal preserved in alcohol. We have skeletons for study at that level, and for birds we have nests and eggs. The emphasis was always on research and not on exhibits. You might think of it as tucked away on a back block in Gungahlin, but the reason that's happened, I guess, is history. Collections like this one really are the documentation of a huge part of what Australia is, and what it is that we are caring for, and what it is that we feel some kind of pride in. If we lose an animal or a population, I think we lose a little bit of Australia. And these collections help us define and understand what's actually out there and what is a huge part of the Australia that so many of us love.